time, weather, and always class.
Breath control and bad decisions. It's our game. With Gen X and Salty J, we'll shout it loud. A celebration of life. Come join the crowd.
Today, we're talking about Elvis Presley in the 70s. Now, boomers think of Elvis. They think of a handsome rebel shaking his hips and causing nationwide pearl clutching. Oh, the hips! When Gen Xers hear Elvis, we picture a dude in a white rhinestone jumpsuit, sweating through 3 towels and scarves in Las Vegas while our parents argued over whether he was still cool. But both versions are correct. Welcome to Breath Control and Bad Decisions. I am Gen X.
Hey, Salty J here too.
And Elvis has entered the 70s. So I know that, Elvis really came into popularity during the boomer generation. So, but he was very, very popular with us, those of us Gen Xers as well. Because again, we had Gen X started in 65. So by 1970, he was 35 years old. And, according to society, social media, and Hollywood, that's equivalent to 112 years old. The British invasion had already happened. Rock music had evolved. It was, the Summer of Love had happened, Woodstock, psychedelic music, and Elvis was still here. And he looked around and said, "This is awesome. Here's a 14-minute version of Suspicious Minds." And I don't know about you, but if you've ever seen, there's a live version of him doing Suspicious Minds. And as he's doing it, he's doing one of those Elvis stretch and kneel things with his leg. He's kneeling one leg and he's stretching out the other. And as he's singing it, he's like, "I hope these pants don't bust out, baby." It's so funny. It's so funny. He had Gen X humor, and I love that. His sense of humor was awesome. But he had other unsavory things about him that we'll get into. I like Elvis. I'm still a fan of his music. I liked a lot of his stuff. I still like his stuff. And I still listen to him every now and then.
Well, I've taken my daughter to see an Elvis impersonator. I have a Elvis Christmas stocking. I grew up with my dad singing Elvis songs to me all the time.
Yeah.
And fun fact, The Rock has sang an Elvis song to me. So
I love it.
I kind of love Elvis.
I love that. I love that for you.
Yeah.
What song did he sing?
Are You Lonesome Tonight?
Aw. That's adorable.
Yep. I still have his autograph too, but I don't hang it on the wall because I don't want to make my husband jealous. It says, "I can't wait to meet you one day."
That is so cute.
But I guess we should talk about Elvis.
Yeah. I mean, he was still selling out giant arenas. He was still selling out giant arenas and showrooms, and he had a residency in Vegas, I think. I'm not going to swear to that. I think he did for a little bit. But Vegas Elvis was just big orchestra, backup singers, those high pitched. He had a lot of soprano backup singers. You can hear him a lot in his live stuff. The karate poses, the capes, the jewelry, the belts that looked like they could stop bullets. And it worked for him. Who else could dress like that and get away with it? Anybody else, you look at that and be like, you need to go to probably a mental institution. That's a fucked up outfit. It worked for him. It absolutely worked for him.
I feel like the more you know about him, the more you understand it all.
Yeah.
On our podcast, I feel like we overanalyze people that we've never met. And today's victim is Elvis. And he wore enough sequins to blind the entire audience. And he convinced all of us that pelvic thrusting was a national emergency. Mm-hmm. Well, not me. I didn't think it was
not
an emergency.
Us.
But
yes, the parents of the 50s and 60s. Yes.
Yeah. But, I think everybody's Southern grandma just calls him that sweet boy that lost his way. Like, everybody loved him.
Yeah. And we have to talk about the jumpsuits because that was 70s Elvis. 70s Elvis was jumpsuits, and they were actually designed to look like his karate outfits. He wanted to kind of mimic that. And they got more elaborate as the decade went on. He had the American Eagle suit, he had the peacock suit, he had a chain suit, which had just chains. Like, that one is actually really cool. The Aloha suit from the Hawaii tour or show, enough rhinestones to disrupt traffic. And he looked like a curtain. He looked like a curtain from Caesar's Palace. And it worked.
I thought he looked like Liberace and a hot rod car had a baby.
That's a good mix. But anybody else wears it and you'd be like, we need to talk. And it was legendary. And you can go to the Elvis Museum in Memphis and you can see there are so many of his jumpsuits on display, and a lot of them are really cool. They really are. I know the ones with the capes are just he put a cape on him. I don't understand that. He put a cape on him. He was so into his karate and he was so devoted to it that he had those jumpsuits designed to kind of mimic that. And I believe he started karate in I want to say 60s. I wanted to see what his actual karate chops were. Chops. That wasn't even intended. Most sources agree that he had a 7th degree black belt in Kenpo. But I think he started training when he was in the Army. I'm pretty sure. And he just kept practicing, and he loved it. He trained seriously and regularly. He was a celebrity hobby and he wanted to do it. And we all know that he incorporated the karate movements in his stage performances. You could see that. You see that wild, the hand, like that's karate. It's karate. And he would show off karate moves at Graceland when people would come visit. Who wants to sit there? I don't want to see that, Elvis. Yes, you're Elvis. I don't want to see that. Please stop.
Actually, I would like to see it. I think it's awesome. I wish he took the discipline from the karate into other aspects of his life, because I think just growing up and being famous at such a young age, he was never told no. And I think that was ultimately part of the problem with his unhappiness.
And he surrounded himself with the Memphis Mafia, who kept people at bay. But Elvis also had a legendary temper, not publicly that you could see, but you can listen to the Memphis Mafia talking about it. And he had guns. He would hold them up to those guys. He had a temper.
I feel like I kind of understand some of it.
Sure.
He was born in Tupelo, Mississippi. He was poor, like 1-bedroom house, government cheese poor.
Uh-huh.
And his mom was super supportive and raised him to feel like he hung the moon and stars.
Right.
And he also he had a twin brother that was stillborn at birth. And they still think that like that caused a lot of emotional issues for him. I think he had a rough life to where he was entitled. He grew up very poor and just probably didn't have the tools to regulate himself, which is probably why he liked the karate,
Yeah. Yeah.
But
he did, he was a truck driver. He recorded, I can't remember what song he recorded that he sent to Sun Studios. I can't remember. That shows how much research I did.
I'm drawing a blank.
That shows how much research I remember from when I did it, right? But he recorded his song and sent it to Sun Studios, and that's how he got started from there. And he just took off. He was like something that nobody had ever seen before. And again, obviously, we're getting back into the 50s when it had nothing to do with Gen X, but it's kind of germane to his evolution, because when he didn't get special treatment. He got drafted and he had to go into the Army, and he went. He didn't get pardoned. He didn't get excused. He went, and God love him that he did. But he was worried that he was going to be forgotten when they did the comeback special. Was that 1968? I think so.
I think it was.
So this was in the peak of Woodstock, and the British invasion was already done, and so he's doing this comeback tour during the Summer of Love. But he's doing this comeback tour when that music was really starting to take hold, and people ate it up. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's really good. It's really good, and he's in
Black
top
leather.
condition. Yeah, that outfit's on display at that museum too.
And there was, like, no gimmicks, like, it was just him,
Yeah,
and I think everybody just kinda remembered why they fell in love with him.
yeah. I think
Like,
that's well put.
he came I don't think it was his true feelings, but he came across as, like, really confident and funny and somewhat dangerous,
Yeah,
and I think everybody loved that about him, and he had to reinvent himself again, but he didn't because it just kinda felt like he came home,
yeah,
like he was always there.
yeah. Think
Yeah.
about it. He could have tried to do the psychedelic music. He could have dipped his toe in that, but it would have been so fake. He stuck to his
Yeah.
guns and said, "No, this is who I am. This is the music that I do, and this is what I'm going to sing." And he didn't while he changed with the times, he didn't lean into, I have to reinvent myself and do this kind of music now because that's what's popular. No, he didn't. He did what he does best.
Well, when he was growing up, he loved gospel,
Mhm.
and he used to go to all the black churches and Beale Street, and he loved rhythm and blues, and his attire, they I can't remember the name of the clothing place, but there was a clothing place that he tried to mimic a lot of it, like the high collars and the patterns and the pink
Mhm.
jackets, and so some of it, he was taking from that culture and just meshing it into what he loved,
Mhm.
and I think it's cool. I think that even now, to prevent racism and stuff, you realize that we all just kinda love each other and love some of the same things,
Yeah.
and
You take and it's okay to take a little bit from that culture and go, "Oh, I love that. That's so cool." That's what he did, and he didn't like to be called the king. When anybody would call him that on stage, he would say, "There's only one king, and I'm about to sing about him," because then he'd roll into a gospel song, and he didn't take that persona and be like, "Yes, I'm the king. I'm bigger than everybody," and all of that. He didn't do that from what we can see, right? Outwardly what we can see.
yeah.
Um, but we do have to talk about the darker side because had a lot of he had a lot of struggles. And I'm sure that had struggles while he was coming up in the 50s and 60s, but we're not here to talk about that because that was before our generation. So the 70s were rough. They were rough on him, and the touring schedule was relentless. Colonel Tom Parker, his less than on the level manager, the Dr. Nick. Dr. Nick is not based on Colonel Tom Parker. It's based on one of Elvis's doctors, but his health declined. But Parker didn't care because Elvis was a cash cow. You can see on YouTube, there are biographies and stories, and they're talking to the Memphis Mafia, and they talk about Elvis would be sick, and Parker would walk in and not give two shits and just say, he better be on stage tonight. He
Yeah.
didn't care. Elvis was nothing more than a cash cow, and Elvis never toured outside of the United States because Colonel Tom Parker was not here legally, from everything that I have read and researched. That's why he didn't want to leave the country, because he was afraid he wouldn't be able to get back in. So Elvis achieved this level of fame. Think about this. He achieved that level of fame without ever leaving the United States.
Yeah, and by the time he was 25, he was the most famous man.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't walk into a room without people screaming. Like,
Yep.
can you imagine?
No. I mean, I walk into a room, people scream, but that's for totally different reasons.
Yeah. The tragedy of it all, though, you think you want those things, but then everybody's gonna be fake. Everybody's gonna laugh at all your jokes and tell you you look great and you don't know what's authentic or real and who genuinely loves you or who's just trying to ride on your
Yeah.
coattails.
I think he surrounded himself with his friends that were the Memphis Mafia were actually good people, and I think they really tried their best to not.
Yeah.
They weren't, because you can hear their stories. They talk about a lot of stuff, and like he had gotten into physical fights with Red West, and if you don't know who Red West is, not only was he part of the Memphis Mafia, he wrote a lot of country songs, and he was in Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze. He was an actor, but Red West has some incredible stories of some shit that went down with Elvis. I mean, Elvis pointed a gun at him. They didn't suck up to him. They called him on his bullshit, and he didn't like it, and that's the problem. He didn't like it. He got angry about it. That goes back to what you were saying, was I wish he would have taken some of that discipline that he had from karate and been able to temper that anger. But that anger only came out to those around him. I don't know if you've ever seen him with children who came to see him. He's so sweet. He's so sweet to children.
My dad was actually very much like him, and it was like the people he felt closest to,
Uh-huh.
he would push almost to try to drive them away.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of the same way Elvis was. But yeah, the mafia, they weren't actually mobsters. It was like his
No.
cousins, his staff, his bodyguard,
Yeah.
you know. It was hard though because he was giving away, I don't even know how many Cadillacs that man must have gave away, but he was
A lot.
paying all their bills, giving everybody Cadillacs, houses, jewelry, TVs. So a lot of them wouldn't stand up to him because they wanted that to keep coming.
Yeah. They talk about one that was very much that way, and Elvis fired him.
Yeah.
But most of the guys that were his cousin and Red and some of the other guys in the Memphis Mafia did stand up to him and were fired multiple times. Multiple times. They'll tell
Right.
you. We were fired constantly because he didn't like what we had to say. He didn't agree, and he would go, "Don't come back," and then he'd call several hours later, and they always went. But it was the heat of the moment. I'm so angry, and they were fired many, many times. And there's a story that I've heard that one of them was telling about at Christmas, where Elvis had the envelopes in his hand, and he was known to be very generous, and he was really excited because he was giving everybody. He said, everybody's getting what they deserve this year." And they said, "Oh, the one guy, he gets the envelope and he opens it up and he looks at it. He goes, and his face, the look of shock. He goes, Elvis had given him a 50-cent gift certificate to McDonald's." And he was fired. So, because he only showed up for these types of things, and he wasn't a real guy. And I think it would be very hard to muddle your way through that and figure out who is authentic and who is just there to kiss your ass and get money and gifts and things from you. And I don't know if that's what also was a catalyst to his personal life, because his personal life just got increasingly complicated. And there were a lot of drug issues. And was Elvis a narcotics agent? Technically, yes. He was. Elvis did not think that he was a drug addict because he was taking prescription drugs. And as far as he was concerned, if they were prescription, they were good. So he had a very odd disconnect, because in his mind, drugs were illegal, and it's the narcotics and it's those types of drugs, not prescription. If they were prescription, a doctor gave them to you, so they were fine. Didn't matter how many you took. You could take as many painkillers as you wanted because the doctor prescribed them to you. So there are many times where he has said, don't believe that I'm not strung out, because he didn't believe that he was, because they were prescription drugs. And so therefore they were fine.
But how many doctors are bought to where they give famous people whatever they want? Like, look at Michael Jackson and
tons.
Prince and yeah.
Tons. And it's the Dr. Nick character on The Simpsons. He's modeled after Elvis's doctor, and just kept giving him more drugs. And the night that he died, he had gone to the dentist to have a dental appointment, but also to score more drugs.
Yeah. I mean, he had drugs in his system when he died. I think the official cause of death, they said cardiac arrhythmia, which is just irregular heartbeat. But he had chronic constipation issues,
Because you're
and
taking
that
all the
was from the
drugs.
opioids,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then he had poor sleep, erratic eating, stress, and all high blood pressure, everything, but they think that he was straining to poop and vagaled, and that's why he died. So, that's sad.
It's extremely sad if that I've heard that that's the official he had a heart attack due to that. Um that's just a terrible way. It's a terrible end to somebody like that to think about. That's how he went out. Not that you expect him
Yeah.
to go out in a blaze of glory or anything like that, but you understand what I'm trying to say. He kept very irregular schedule. They wouldn't go to bed until 3 in the morning, and they'd have breakfast at 5 at night. That was breakfast time. Or for Elvis, whenever he wanted to eat, he would just get up and have somebody make him some food. That's how the fried peanut butter, banana, and bacon sandwich came about. That's what he wanted for, I don't know if it was breakfast or lunch, when they were talking to his cook, and she was telling him, this is what happened, and this is what he wanted. She goes, and I had never made that before. And so she just took 2 pieces of bread and put the stuff on it and fried it, and it didn't come out the way he wanted it. And he told her, this isn't right. And Vernon, his dad, actually said, let's do it. Here's how you do it. Here's how you do it. And she toasted the bread and then fried it in this mountain of, but like, it was floating. She was showing you. There's a video of it, and she's showing you, and it's just it's basically floating in this mountain of butter. And he ate 2 of those things. There is a store here. It's the Truman. It's down in Old Independence Square in Independence, Missouri, and it's the Truman. I don't want to say the pharmacy, 'cause it's not a pharmacy. It was like a drugstore and malt shop from back when Truman used to work there when he was a kid, well, a teenager, whatever. And they have that sandwich. You can get it. It's probably not fried in that much butter, but you can get a. I don't know if you still can. This was several years ago. You can get a fried peanut butter, banana, and bacon sandwich, and it's called the Elvis, and you can get it. You can get it there. But that's the kind of shit he ate. His diet was garbage. He ate just an unbelievable amount of food, an unbelievable amount of food, and none of it good. He was a Southern boy. He ate Southern food, and he loved deep fried. He loved stuff that was fried, and he just had a big appetite, and he didn't eat healthfully. We'll just say
Yeah.
I saw another sandwich that he ate. He had heard about it, and he and his entourage flew to Las Vegas to get it, I think, and they didn't ever leave the airport. They flew in at night, like 1 in the morning. They never left the airport because they got it there. They ordered 42 of these things, and it was it was called the Fool's Loaf, which was a full loaf of bread, and not the loaves that we would buy in the grocery store, like the bakery kind, like a French bread or sourdough. It wasn't sourdough, but that shape, like that kind of baked bread.
Yeah.
Sliced in half lengthways, so you got a top and a bottom. The bread inside was scooped out. On one side was an entire jar of peanut butter. On the other side was an entire jar of jam. Put it together and then fry it in butter. And it was called the Fool's Loaf. Him and the entourage flew to Las Vegas, sat in the airport, and had 42 of those things.
I've never heard that story, and I thought I had heard almost everything.
Who
funny.
was it? I can't remember who in the mafia was talking about it. I mean, peanut butter jelly, yes. An entire loaf with an entire jar of peanut butter, an entire jar of jam, and then fried in butter.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not saying it sounds bad. I'm just saying that's a lot of damn food. Like, cut me like a piece of that, and I'll have like the little end piece. It's just, I'll have a couple of bites of that and be full, be fine. I cannot imagine eating the entire damn loaf. That was his diet. That's what he ate. Nobody's shocked that this man died at 42. Let's be honest.
I am 42. We're older than that.
No,
Like,
I'm talking about in retro. When you look back and you see what he ate and you see what he did, you're like, I'm surprised he actually made it to 42, to be honest with you. It's shockingly young.
Today he'd be 91.
Can you believe that? Can you imagine
No.
91-year-old Elvis? But
I
here we
wish he
are.
was still around.
I do too. Here we are, almost 50 years later. He died in 1977. He was 42, and I remember because I was 6 when he died, and I remember it. I remember the shock of it then, and I was 6. I was 6, but I knew who he was. I listened to Elvis. I had Elvis records. I listened to Elvis. I liked him. But 50 years later, people are still talking about him. There's Elvis impersonators everywhere. We're still collecting the memorabilia. We're still debating which version of Elvis was the best Elvis. Was it the Rebel, the movie star, the comeback special Elvis, the Jumpsuit Era Elvis? It's all of them. It's all of them. All versions of Elvis are good. All of them. Even heavy 1970s Elvis, because it was just a different, still singing the same songs and still with that sense of humor. That's the best. I think that's one of the things that I really like about him is that he had a really good sense of humor. I like that a lot about him. That he could make fun of himself on stage too was hilarious. I love that.
I still don't understand how Colonel Tom Parker had so much power over him because he was so defiant and doing what he wanted to do in every other aspect. But it was like he just, his life and livelihood was signed over to him to where he was a puppet.
Yeah. I don't either. You're right. That's a very good point. That how was he so obedient to him? Why? And I haven't delved deeper into that because I haven't. It's one of those things where you don't really think about it. And they're like, wait, why? Why was he? Because he didn't.
Well,
He really did what he wanted to do. So what was it with Parker that he just did everything?
it was money. He got Elvis's parents to sign in on stuff to where if Elvis wasn't touring, his whole family was gonna be in debt. Like, he was constantly just dangling stuff over his head. "You have to take care of everybody. You have to get paid," and he was working hard. He he did a lot, and it's kinda sad because he gave everybody all of his he never felt like enough, but he gave all of his talent and soul that he could.
Yeah, he did. He never half-assed anything.
Uh-uh.
He didn't when he was performing a show, like he didn't just call it in. They're all good. You can go to YouTube and look up any Elvis concert and they're all good.
Yeah.
You could do that all night and just sit there and watch Elvis concerts.
Yeah, I feel like the movies were all basically the same story, just, he's playing the guitar on a beach, there's some girl
Yeah.
involved. I feel like if you watched one, you watched them all.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Even though I think he wanted to be a more serious actor, I think he was just going along with what he was told.
Uh-huh.
And I think that the older he got, the more confidence he was getting to do his own thing. But I mean, think about it. He only made it to 42.
I know.
So
Think about everything he accomplished by that time. And think about who he had on his payroll and what he had to take care of and what he was responsible for. I remember when I was 42. I am far from 42 and I'm still extremely immature.
by most accounts, like, he was a good dad. I don't think he was
Yes.
a good husband at all, but
I don't think he was a good husband from everything that I've seen. I think he was a very good father.
it really bothers me about Priscilla because that all started when she was 14,
Uh-huh.
and, I mean, they didn't get married, I think, until she was 21, but still, it just I've read that he was very controlling, telling her how to look, dress, everything
Mhm.
else, and I I struggle with that. I think that, it was more normalized back then, but it's still wrong, and I still
I
have trouble because I loved him as an artist, but
right.
thought that
That's
was
what I
really
said.
shitty.
There are some unsavory parts of his personality. Everybody's got them, right?
Yeah.
But he also had a thing where he did not want to see his wives, girlfriends, etc. not made up before he got up. Ginger Alden, who was his girlfriend at the time he died, has said that she would get up and do her hair and her makeup and then go back to bed so that when he got up, she was already made up because he didn't want to see them
That's
unmade up.
crazy.
And that's fucking bonkers. That's some bonkers shit.
Absolutely it is.
I can't even. Could you imagine being with somebody who was like, oh, I don't ever want to see you without makeup? Be like, well, you're shit out of luck because this is what I look like all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, I clean up when I'm leaving my house or going out to something, but when I'm at home, yeah. I got mismatched socks, sweatpants, and my fall and winter outfit is basically sweatpants and a hoodie and mismatched socks. If I'm getting socks, putting them on in the dark, like that's just it's just too. He would have a real hard time.
Yeah. He wouldn't put up with my mouth either.
Oh God, could you imagine mouthing off? Could you imagine?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know he was not physically abusive to his wives and girlfriends, but I also feel like he didn't tolerate much as far as attitude was against her.
I think verbally he was, and I think that the cheating on them and stuff was definitely abusive.
Yes,
Um,
I didn't say I said physically abusive, not mentally,
yeah,
emotionally, or
yeah,
otherwise. Yes, 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 yes. Agree. And he was definitely a serial cheater.
yeah.
Which is
And
sad. This is the thing, right? We put these people up on pedestals because we see a very public persona. It's what they want. That's how they're marketed, and that's what we see, and that's how they are with fans. Like I said, if you saw him interact with kids, it's so sweet. It's so fucking sweet. And then on the flip side, this temper and this other side that where he was, you're just like, oh God, that's horrible. It's horrible that he did those things, but it's so hard to separate those two things and go, okay, this is the person I see on stage and he was wonderful and a great entertainer, this and that. But I feel like he has to be that way when he's not doing that. He should be like that all the time, but he wasn't. He wasn't. He was a human being and he had a lot of flaws.
he was allowed to.
Uh-huh.
Like, he didn't have society going after him, if you had a 24-year-old going after a 14-year-old now, I think it would be very much different.
It,
And
without question, it would be. Yeah.
which it needs to be.
It's
But
yes, it should be.
yeah, but it still happens. It still happens. That little girl that was murdered by that David artist,
Yeah.
Celeste, she was 14, and it was
Hmm.
basically like it's almost like these girls' parents are like, well, they'll be taken care of and have millions of dollars, and they just let them go, and I don't
Right.
understand it.
Well, Jimmy Page did that too. I can't remember if she was 14 or 15. I can't remember. You need to just look into that if you have time. I don't want to get into it here because we're not talking about Jimmy Page, but same thing. And Ted Nugent, same thing. And her parents signed guardianship to him. Like, it's creepy and weird, but I
Yeah.
think you're right. I think it has a tone of that. She's with a famous rock star. She'll be fine. I don't need to worry about. But if he wasn't a famous rock star and he was just a regular person, he'd be a piece of shit. He's still a piece of shit. He's just famous and he's got a lot of
Yeah.
money. You overlook
Yeah.
that because you're like money, money, money. So money always talks, and that's the gross part about it. And we're not here to come for Elvis in that regard. It would certainly be questioned and frowned upon and all of those things. But even in the 70s, he was 42, and I think Ginger Alden was 21. She was very, very
Isn't that
young.
wild?
Yeah. And she's written a
That's
book. She's written a book about her time with Elvis, and she seems like a really grounded and like a really good person. It seems, I don't know how you could be a 21-year-old and be engaged to somebody like that and be in that world and try to absorb all that and maintain your own persona. You know what I mean? I know I'm not
yeah.
articulating that well, but I think you understand what I'm saying.
No,
Because
I get what you're saying.
when we were 21, we were stupid. We're just,
Well,
brains aren't fully developed. You just kind of do what, like, it seems hard that for her to be in a relationship with him.
well, I'm sure that is why she's grounded now, just from going through all the trauma then.
Yeah.
Um, it it's sad. It's what she wanted, but it, he would never probably feel emotionally fulfilled with women that young that don't understand the same things that he does. And it's just like people look for youth, but then they don't have a connection.
Right.
And then
And
they miss the connection.
we don't know the ins and outs of that relationship. I certainly don't know. I have not read her book. I know she has one. I've seen interviews with her, and that's what I said when I said she seems very
Yeah.
grounded and very, very kind and very sweet. I've not read her book. I will eventually. Um, Being the age I am now, I cannot imagine being in a relationship with the king of rock and roll when you're 21 years old.
Well, it was probably her dream and exactly what she wanted, but it had
Sure it
to have
was.
also been
Sure.
very painful and not all roses either,
Well,
and
sure. I mean, this is a man who went to bed at 3, 4 in the morning. And
I can you
I
know
can
how, like,
fix
us
him.
women, we're like yes,
I
that's
can fix him.
exactly what I was gonna say. She probably was a very nurturing personality and just wanted to do right by him. Yeah,
Probably,
that's
I'm
that's the
sure that
feel
she
I
did.
get from her.
I'm sure that it wasn't an I can fix him. I'm sure it was what you're saying. Just I wanted to be present and do right by this person. And I can't imagine even being in her position and finding him like that at that age as well, and
Even if you
having to
expected it,
call the people and say, I this is horrible. What happens now?
yeah. I think that even if she knew he was deteriorating, it had to have just been a complete surprise.
Sure.
Like, he was 42. You don't expect it?
Right. You don't, you're like, he takes drugs. They're not, or they're prescribed drugs, so they're not illegal. These aren't illicit drugs that he's taking. They're prescribed, so he's fine. He's under the care of a doctor. Well, not when you're taking 1 million a day, not when you're taking these to stay awake or these to go to sleep, because they were taking things so they could sleep. And the Memphis Mafia, I think Ed West was talking about that. He said, because we were up all the time, and then you get used to that cycle. And I remember this is the confrontation they had. Then he had taken sleeping pills. We could sleep. It was 3 in the morning or something. And Elvis came knocking on his door and he wanted something. And Fred was like, "Go fuck yourself. I'm not doing it. I'm tired." And that's Elvis came out with a gun. He goes back to his room and he gets a gun. Like, that's unhinged behavior.
That's drugs. Yeah.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
drugs make people change completely. Like, my dad did drugs, and it was like I had good dad and bad dad, and I feel that's kinda like the way with Elvis. Like,
Yeah.
he had a good heart, but when all his inhibitions were gone, like, he was showing a person that we all wouldn't have liked.
Yeah. I
But
think that I think that the good part is that he didn't do that in front of the fans. He didn't do it very publicly. So
yeah.
he maintained that persona. Because there's so many rock stars now that treat their fans like shit and are just assholes to them because they're drug addicts or they're alcohol or whatever, or they're mentally ill, whatever. And they treat some fans like crap, or they have no respect for showing up to a show on time. Axl Rose, I'm looking in your direction. Um, things like that. And he never did that. He always performed. He always gave it his all. He was there for the people who were paying to see him, and he always put on a good show. And he went through, you can watch the shows from the 70s where he had all the scarves, with the jumpsuits, and he would give them all out. He'd drench them in sweat, and then he'd hand them out in the audience, and they could get close to him, and people would show up to the show with gifts and give him stuff. And can you do that today? No. We have too
Yeah.
many unhinged people in our society. But watching that is such a time capsule to go back and see, holy shit, these people are bringing like actual wrapped gift boxes into the stadium or into an
Yeah.
arena or into a showroom and in the front row to where they could give it to him. And he was accepting of it and gracious. There's a YouTube audio clip of Elvis just cracking up while he's singing. Was it Lonesome? I think it's Lonesome Tonight he's singing. And he is singing it normally, and we can't see it because there's not a video of it that I've been able to find. And it's just, he is cracking up. He's still trying to sing, God love him, but he is laughing his ass off because there's something going on that we cannot see. And it's hilarious. It's so damn funny.
He had a great laugh.
Yeah, he did.
It was very real. I liked that clip.
It's so damn funny. It's so genuine. That's the best part, is it's a genuine, real, raw moment where they didn't stop the show. They weren't like, oh my God, like they kept it in the recording. They didn't edit it out. They're like, no, that should happen. It's funny to listen to because it is real and it is raw and it's genuine. This, whatever was going on, just genuinely broke him up.
I feel like some of him was just a really fun, good person.
Uh-huh.
His daughter, Lisa Marie, she said she always felt like he completely loved her. And people would say that he was very attentive and in the moment when hanging out with her. I mean, I'm sure with the touring and divorce and stuff like that, I'm sure it wasn't always roses with his daughter, but I think he really tried. And
yeah, there's a lot of decent memorabilia of things that he gave her and things that he wrote to her and like little pet names that he called her. And I agree, again, not having a magnifying glass into that dynamic and for however many years, I think that they did have a good relationship, and you can tell that he genuinely loved her. And he named one of his planes after her too. And you could tour that plane today so after he died and they turned Graceland into this shit show of a museum across the street from it, you could tour it, but you couldn't tour it till like 82-ish, I want to say, because I remember going when I was a kid, and I remember going into all the attractions across the street that they had just turned into. It was ridiculous, but now I think that's been cleaned up a lot more since 1982, obviously. And they have a whole museum complex that is not only Elvis, they've got other memorabilia in there from musicians and old Hollywood stuff is in there too. But it also has his planes, and I think you can tour 2 or 3 of them, I think.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think that he very much lived like ahead of his time with like a Vegas residency, private jets.
Yeah.
I know they wanted him to go to Japan and other countries, and that was stopped by his manager. But yeah, he had a neat life. He experienced a lot of stuff that people would be afraid to do and not have the confidence to do. And that even started in his youth, going to church and sneaking into bars and listening to people sing and dance. Like he just had a very confident and outgoing appearance.
He did. And did you know that he was a natural blonde?
I didn't know that.
His real hair
Really?
color is blonde. He was a natural blonde. If you see pictures of Elvis when he was a kid, when he was a child, he's blonde. He started dyeing it black in high school to be edgier He was an edgelord, so he was trying to be edgier, and he just kept it up. It's so hard to imagine that he was blonde, but he was. There are photos of a young Elvis when he was blonde.
I'll have to look that up too. I had no
Yeah.
clue about that.
I know, it's really weird. It's really weird to be like, what? That doesn't compute at all. It's a totally different picture when you think about it that way. Like, that seems very strange.
Yeah, and back then, did guys really dye their hair much?
Oh, I'm sure that they did, but perhaps not to that extreme. But it looked good on him.
Yeah.
Like, it worked because he was darker complected, so it worked.
I thought it was natural.
Yeah, it's not.
That's crazy.
I know. Can you and he kept that up his entire life.
Yeah.
And then in the 70s he had those big giant pork chops.
I love his sideburns. Kind of like how we talked about John Lennon with his glasses, or, those sideburns and the big gold rimmed glasses and the big hair. I love it. He
Yeah,
had his
and
whole
that whole 70s Elvis
persona.
look was so over the top. It was sequins and, the jumpsuits with the capes and the belts that look like wrestling championship belts, and so much jewelry that guests to Graceland said you could hear him come to the door because he jingled. Because all of his jewelry would jingle. And he was still an icon. How do you do that? How do you look like, dress like that, and you're still an icon? You're still like, yep, I still, and it worked. It worked. That's so hard to do. He turned himself into a living Las Vegas attraction and continued to remain an icon. Who can do that?
He's still an icon, but if anybody else dressed like that, we'd be roasting the shit out of them.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
think of all the people who joke about 70s Elvis, but remember, the jumpsuit's ridiculous. The glasses, the sunglasses were enormous. They were all that same style. It's not a good style. I don't like that style of sunglasses, but I'm not Elvis, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I think. He wore a ton of jewelry, big giant. I saw a jewelry bill that they had in the museum. It was like $52,000. Just one jewelry bill. So he had all this jewelry. The belts look like wrestling belts. But the man was still filling arenas looking like this. He was still captivating audiences. He was still unmistakably Elvis and unapologetically Elvis. And if that taught this generation anything, is that weirdness ages better than cool.
People just love confidence, and people love a good show. I
Mhm.
went to a Justin Timberlake concert, and I wasn't the biggest Justin Timberlake fan, but everything was so rehearsed on point, and his confidence was just really good, and it just felt like this polished, beautiful performance.
Uh-huh.
So, I can imagine Elvis at any point just giving that feeling. It's pretty
It's
neat.
the jumpsuit costumes that he had, and hundreds of them. Some of them are really cool. I'm not gonna lie. He had some black
Yeah.
ones that were really cool, and I like that. I like the chain one too. I like the look of that. But he started off with just that, and then he added a cape, and we all went, "Okay, cool, that's cool. Yeah, that works." A cape. He put a fucking cape on. He looked at curtains and went, "Put that on. Yeah, add that too." Like, it's so fucked up. But
I love it.
then when you see it on stage, you're like, "Holy shit, that fucking works."
He's
Yeah,
a superhero.
that was a good decision. That works. Like, it's just unmistakably Elvis. And
It
weirdness,
just feels American,
weirdness,
like,
yes, and weirdness ages better than cool. Because
it's just
eventually cool becomes dated.
it's like Dolly Parton and a bald eagle and an apple pie all put together. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like, he's just America.
America. Yeah, and
Fuck yeah.
yeah. It is.
Yeah.
It's I don't know any person that doesn't like Elvis. I've never in my lifetime heard anybody go, "Oh man, I hate Elvis." No, I've never heard that.
Probably just people that are jealous.
Maybe. I personally have never heard it. There's
Yeah.
something there are songs that he did that you might not like his entire catalog. Nobody likes the entire catalog of any band. I don't think there's anybody out there who's like, I love every single song that they do. It's not Office Space where it's like, I celebrate his entire catalog. No, the Beatles put out a lot of shit. There are bands that I love that I'm like, nope, don't like that song. And there are Elvis songs that I don't care for that I don't like, but I like Elvis. And I've never heard anybody say, nah, I don't like that guy. I don't like Elvis. Elvis sucked. No, he didn't.
I'm sure some of his songs he didn't even like, you know?
Sure.
He had so much pressure to put stuff out, like, the movies, he's, like, said he didn't like a lot of the movies and that
Yeah.
he wanted to be respected, and with his music, he would sometimes release his own stuff because he was probably just sick of everybody trying to treat him like a puppet, you
Yeah.
know?
It's hard. I know for me as a musician, I don't want to sing anything that I don't like because I have to sell it. And I don't have the confidence of Elvis. I have a really hard time singing shit I don't like. I really do. And I won't do it. And I know that I'm sure that there are other musicians who might feel that way, but most just play what they're supposed to, they play anything and sing anything and they're fine with it. I can't do it. It's harder for me. I don't know if I were playing an instrument, I would feel differently, but I cannot sing something I don't like because I don't like it. And for me, singing isn't that, it's an emotion and I have to feel something to sing it and I feel something to sell it. And I can't do that with shit I don't like. It very much comes across that I hate the fucking song.
Yeah. I think that part of it was him isolating himself to not get any of the negativity because if somebody did a write up and said, "Oh, he's getting fat," or "Oh, he didn't do good here," like he was constantly seeking approval and never feeling like enough. So that stuff had to hurt, and I'm sure he heard some of it.
Oh, of course he did.
I'm
That stuff hurts everybody. He wasn't immune to that. That stuff hurts everybody.
yeah.
Can you imagine being 1968 comeback Elvis and then 1972, 73 overweight Elvis and looking at the headlines and looking at the stories? It didn't matter. He was still putting on a good show, but it didn't matter because all they would be focused on was his weight.
And, fame doesn't fix, like, old wounds. It doesn't fix the soul core values and feelings from, like, a childhood, having a mother that passed away when he was young,
She was
it
42 when she died too.
isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And she lived at Graceland and I think her bedroom's on the bottom floor. It was behind the living room, I want to say. It was behind that main room. And yeah, that was really hard on him.
And that was probably a lot of guilt he carried, but he wasn't in charge of her decisions either.
Uh-uh. You can't be. You can't be in charge of somebody else's decisions. He was in charge of his own, and then to some extent the people around him. But he was. I don't think he was fake. I think he was very genuine. And when I say fake, yes, was he? Did he have a different persona in public than he did behind the scenes? Yes, that doesn't make him fake. It makes him a a a, a celebrity.
Showman.
You can't go on stage and behave like an asshole. Again, looking at you, Axl Rose, and to some extent, Metallica. You can't do that. But if you do go into a rabbit hole, an Elvis rabbit hole, and you do go find old videos of him interacting with kids, it's so fucking sweet. It's so sweet. He doesn't
Yeah.
blow them off. He's not like, here's an autograph, see ya, oh, it's nice meeting you, whatever. He's very, very sweet to them. It's so sweet. It's so damn sweet.
A lot of the women that he dated said he was really affectionate and funny and kind.
Yeah.
And that's where I said I think, like, drugs and alcohol and stuff like that just kinda, changed a lot of him, but I think he always was kinda controlling, how you were talking about being made up
Yeah.
and, uh, that's probably why he picked the younger women.
Usually that's I'm not painting with a broad brush. It's just usually older men tend to do that. They pick women who will put up with their bullshit because they're younger. They're too young to go, fuck you, you're an asshole. I'm not fucking doing that. Who the hell you think you are?
Yeah.
Older women know better.
Once you hit cougar puberty, you don't give a shit. I
I mean,
dare
it's just,
Elvis to
it
tell
is.
somebody that's hit menopause, go put makeup on.
He wouldn't still be with somebody who hit menopause. Let's be real. Let's be real.
Because they'd kill him.
Yeah. They'd be like, yeah, they'd be like, what? What did you say? Come here. Come here. Come closer. And then they'd
I got
punch
a
him in the
cast
face.
iron skillet in my head
That's
right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Obviously, he had his demons. It's very clear that he had his demons. But he was a legend, and he's always going to be legendary.
I feel like he took influences from so many different things and
Mhm.
blended it together so perfectly and just made people feel like there's more out there and just kind of opened their eyes to other cultures and other sounds and other ways of dressing. It's affected all of us. It still does. Even some of the stars you think of like Lady Gaga or people that try to go over the top. It's pretty neat because it gets attention.
Yeah.
It makes them
I, I,
different.
I think he set that stage for that. I don't want to say that weirdness, but that he was wearing jumpsuits with capes, for God's sake.
I love
Come
it.
on. I love watching those 70s concerts because I'm like, that is a choice, but God damn it, it fucking works for him.
And when he did that comeback special, I think you said it was 1968. Um, it, it's one of the biggest resurrections of a career ever. Like
Mhm.
people drop off the radar, and you don't hear about them, or they kind of come back, but you don't really think much of them.
Yeah.
But I mean, the amount of following and love for this man was incredible.
Yeah. And he did it with his older stuff. He didn't do it with new music. Nobody wanted to hear new music. They're like, if you're coming back, I want to hear the shit that made you famous. And he didn't lean
Well,
into
it's comforting.
psychedelic music. And he didn't go, oh, music is going this direction. I have to go that direction too. He said, fuck you. I'm going to do what I know. I'm going to do what made me me and what made
And
me
what he does
famous.
best.
And this is what I do best. And this is what my fans know. And it was perfect. If you've never seen the Elvis comeback special, I implore you to watch it. It is fantastic.
I should know this, but I don't remember what kind of awards they were. But I read that he had only gotten like 3 awards in his career and that they were all for gospel songs.
Probably Grammys, I'm gonna guess.
It probably was Grammys. I just
Yeah.
can't remember because you know me. But
I don't remember when the dawn of awards for music came to be either, so I didn't bother to look that up because I don't care. But
yeah. Well, I just thought it was neat that it was his gospel music that was getting it. But
yeah.
it's something that he loved, and they said he would sing it, like, around Graceland. He was walking around singing gospel songs. It's pretty
Yeah.
neat.
He grew up with that. It's what he liked. It was he he felt that in his core, and he didn't ever kick that to the wayside and go, I'm not gonna sing that stuff in concert. He absolutely sang in concert. That's what I mean when I say he stayed true to who he was. And I don't music nowadays evolves so fast. Call today's music music. Get off my lawn. Um the ever changing music scene and music industry nowadays, it's so different. It's so different. And he said, "Yeah, I'm going to make a comeback, but I'm going to do it with this music. Fuck you." And it fucking worked.
100% it worked.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it still works. I loved going to see the performer here at Visani that just had that same feel. Like, it works.
Yeah. I have never seen an Elvis impersonator before, so I have to imagine that there are good ones and there are bad ones. There is
I,
a Golden Girls episode where they have an audience full of Elvis impersonators for Sophia's wedding, and one of them is Quentin Tarantino, which I think is hilarious.
that's pretty funny.
Yeah. And you can tell which one is him, because it looks like him, but he's also the one doing like these huge movements to get you to focus on him. You can very obviously see which one is him.
The one that I went to had one of Elvis's backup singers. I can't remember her name. I want to say it was Miss Paris or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But she was absolutely incredible too. Like,
Yeah.
incredible. So, yeah, people still take it very seriously. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I love that. I adore that because it lets you have the experience that you couldn't have.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't see Elvis at concert. I was a child. I was 6 when he died. So I've seen the Elvis Aloha from Hawaii concert. I think my mom had that on LP. My mom had a lot of Elvis records. I had some. But the man always put on a good show. That's for damn sure.
So the one I saw, his name was Dwight Eisenhower. And
The president?
he's, well,
President Eisenhower?
Wait.
Holy shit. We didn't know that.
Eisenhower. I think I just said it wrong because you know me with names.
I know.
But
Bust a boob.
yes, bust a boob. But he was really good, like world champion Elvis impersonator.
Yeah.
And it was neat. I can't imagine actually seeing the real one in concert because this was so cool.
Yeah. Where'd you see him at?
There's this club here in Port Charlotte, Florida. It looks like a castle and it has a bunch of comedians and he does that. And then he also was starting like his own event. It was like a 4-day Elvis tribute that he was going to start that was somewhere in Florida kind of near me, but I just couldn't. I love Elvis, but I don't think I wanted like 4 days of him, so I didn't go.
For 4 days, that's a lot. That is a lot of peanut
Yeah.
butter and banana sandwiches. I wonder if they were going to have the food that Elvis ate too. That if you're going to do an Elvis experience, you better serve the fucking food.
I bet they did. This guy was fabulous though. Like people asked because my daughter was the youngest one there. Everybody was like in their 50s to 80s. And,
Okay, why don't you
Morgan
cool
and I went,
it with the everybody's in their 50s? Why don't you roll that back a little bit there, Jules?
I'm just telling you that was the age range. And then my daughter was like 16 or 17. So some guy said, "How much did your mom pay you to come here?" And she was like, "Oh no, I love this."
Yeah.
Like
I
we were
love
eating
that.
good Italian food, listening to Elvis.
Who doesn't love that? I love that. I approve
was
that
cool.
message.
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I would like to see something like that. I think that would be really cool. And I know that
Well-
that you and I are planning to take a trip next year. So I think it'll be
that
fun
would
as
be
hell.
cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Maybe
as
I
hell.
can get you down here to go to that too because it was pretty fun.
Maybe.
Yeah. We'll
That would be
talk
fun.
about flights. Okay. We'll talk at another time.
All right. Well, we're gonna head and wrap this one up, and we hope you've enjoyed it. I know it wasn't really a deep dive. It was just, hey, this is a good topic. With Jules and I both really liking Elvis and his music, we thought this was a good show topic, and we hope you've enjoyed it. And we were focused on the 70s. Weird
Yeah,
Elvis.
but he made a comeback. Yeah.
He made a comeback during Gen
And-
X, so that counts.
And I really wish he was still around because I think that he would have had a lot more great music and
Yeah.
movies, and he would have gotten more and more depth in that if drugs and alcohol and life hadn't gotten in the way.
Yeah, agreed. I think it'd be pretty special if he was still with us. So that's going to wrap up this episode. Join us for another episode when we discuss another relic of the 70s that somehow survived everything. Wood paneling. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't know what our next topic is. We'll find out when we release it. We hope you've enjoyed this episode and
We'll
that you'll
find
join us
out
on
when
our
we write
Facebook
it.
group. Yeah, pretty much. That's how it works. We're very spontaneous.
Hey, you get what you get, you don't throw a fit.
That's
All
right.
right.
That's right.
Until next time. Bye.
Bye.